Rétablir le son, j'ai rien non plus. Oui, oui.
Okay. Ja, weil ich glaube, meins bricht gleich zusammen, weil ich keinen Strom mehr habe.
countries, who is our main speaker today. And I welcome also His Excellency Mr. Antonio Gamito, the Ambassador of Portugal to Luxembourg, who is our second speaker on the Portuguese presidency. Herzlich willkommen. Bonjour à toutes et à tous. Et bienvenue à cette présentation du programme de la nouvelle présidence du Conseil de l'Union européenne, maintenant détenue par la Slovénie pour ce deuxième semestre de l'année 2021 depuis le 1er juillet, donc depuis 2 semaines. Ce programme est issu d'une concertation, comme toujours, entre les 3 États membres de ce trio de présidence, à savoir l'Allemagne, le Portugal et maintenant la Slovénie. L'Allemagne, c'était le 2e semestre 2022, le Portugal, le 1er semestre cette année, à peine écoulé, et la Slovénie, donc à partir de maintenant et jusqu'à la fin de l'année 2021, donc cette année. Évidemment, le programme de ce trio de pays a été fortement marqué par la pandémie et les crises que cette pandémie a causées, la crise sanitaire, la crise économique, la crise sociale. Il y a 6 mois, quand nous on parlait avec notre ami Antonio Gamito du lancement de la présidence portugaise du Conseil, on parlait des objectifs de la campagne de vaccination contre cette pandémie, la Covid-19. Bon, je crois qu'on a fait pas mal de progrès à ce niveau-là. Aujourd'hui, nous avons au sein de l'Union européenne assez de doses pour vacciner 70% de la population. On avait dit, on est là. Et il y a déjà la moitié de la population vaccinée. 54% de la population européenne est vaccinée. Au Luxembourg, même 70%. On parlait aussi, il y a 6 mois, de la relance économique. Et on parlait de ce fantastique instrument Next Generation EU, quelque chose sans précédent, qui nous donne, en plus du budget communautaire, 750 milliards d'euros, et qui sont là donc, pour réparer les dommages économiques et sociaux causés par la pandémie. Aujourd'hui, nous pouvons dire, on en parlait avant, que la mise en œuvre de ce vaste programme de relance au niveau de l'Union européenne est en bonne voie. Bon, il y a beaucoup plus à dire, mais ce ne sera pas moi, je vais laisser ça aux experts. On a 2 experts parmi nous. Donc, monsieur l'ambassadeur du Portugal va faire un bref bilan de la présidence portugaise, que je me permets de dire, quand même, a été jugé un succès très important pour l'Union européenne. Et ensuite, donc, l'ambassadeur de la Slovénie va présenter le programme de sa présidence, de la présidence de son pays. Et après, vous avez l'occasion de poser vos questions. Puisque le temps est limité, je vous prierai, nous prions de mettre de poser vos questions par écrit, peu importe, via WebEx, Facebook, YouTube, et après on va vous répondre d'ici. Et comme annoncé, le webinaire se tient en français et anglais. So you can also ask your questions in English, and please do so in the chat. Ihr könnt Ihre Fragen auch auf Letztebrich natürlich stellen, und Sie können Ihre Fragen auch auf Deutsch stellen. Maintenant, j'ai l'honneur de passer la parole à son Excellence l'ambassadeur du Portugal au Luxembourg, M. Antonio Gamito.
Merci Stéphane, et merci particulièrement à la Commission qui m'a aidé beaucoup pendant les 6 mois derniers, parce que sans la Commission, c'est très difficile de faire une présidence que je pense qu'on a avancé les dossiers d'une façon très déterminée, et aussi avec la collaboration des institutions européennes et surtout des États membres. Sans les États membres et sans le consensus qu'on a arrivé pour fermer les dossiers, c'était impossible de faire la présidence. Je serai très bref, je vais seulement marquer quelques points de highlights of our presidency, et je commencerai par le relancement de l'économie. On a implémenté le budget communautaire, on a fermé le Next Generation EU, on a rectifié la décision de ressources propres qui a permis à la Commission d'aller au marché et de commencer à mettre l'argent dans les poches des États membres. On a aussi approuvé les premiers plans de relance nationaux. On a été aussi très préoccupé pour le relancement de Schengen. Dans ce contexte, on a adopté le certificat vert digital de l'Union européenne. On a fait des recommandations sur voyage et sur les tests, pour harmoniser les tests. Dans le renforcement de la démocratie et de l'état de droit, on a promu beaucoup de conférences sur l'état de droit, le deuxième dialogue du mécanisme d'état de droit. On a continué avec le processus, les procédures d'article 7. On a négocié la directive de protection de données et on a renforcé le mécanisme européen de protection civile et la directive sur... on a aussi renforcé le mécanisme européen de protection civile. Dans le domaine de ce qu'on appelle transition climatique, je vais seulement faire remarquer deux aspects. On a abouti à fermer la réforme de la politique agricole commune et on a adopté la loi européenne du climat. Et ça, c'était très important et on a travaillé ensemble avec Stéphane, encore une fois, merci beaucoup pour ton soutien. On a fait une chose très importante, je pense, pour l'Europe, c'est de renforcer le pilier des droits sociaux européens. On a fait le sommet du Porto, on a reçu ici le commissaire Schmidt, on a eu aussi un webinaire avec le chef cabinet du commissaire Schmidt pour parler de ce qu'on a accordé à Porto. On a approuvé les targets du plan de la Commission européenne pour 2030. Et je pense qu'on a démarré encore une fois, on a mis les droits sociaux encore une fois dans l'agenda de l'Union européenne. Finalement, l'Europe comme un partenaire global, on a terminé l'accord de commerce et coopération et sécurité d'information avec le Royaume-Uni. On a fait des sommets avec l'Inde et le Japon. On a fait le sommet avec les États-Unis aussi. On a renforcé le règlement de l'Agence de l'asile de l'Union européenne. On a conclu l'accord post-Autonomy. On a fait le forum UE-Afrique dans le secteur d'investissement vert. Et on a fait aussi le sommet du Canada et on a développé le mécanisme COVAX. Ça, ce sont les highlights de notre présidence. Je remercie à tous et à toutes qui nous ont permis, dans les institutions européennes et dans les États membres, de fermer ces dossiers. Et je pense que maintenant, je souhaite la bonne chance à notre ami Radolf Genario qui va prendre le relais du Portugal et de l'Allemagne. Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup, Antonio. Cher Stefan, since I have a parole, I will try to mention key elements for the forthcoming Slovenian presidency. What Antonio already mentioned, we simply have to finish the job, which was settled in June 2020 within trio, Germany, Portugal, and Slovenia. I believe it will be a successful presidency, as it was the first one in 2007 and 2008. And thanks to Portugal, you mentioned Schengen. Thanks to Portugal, you enabled with CIS for all Schengen enlargement. And at that time, as a state minister, I was responsible to coordinate our Schengen entry. And Slovenia, I remember, was for CIS for all, and you did, Antonio Costa was Minister for Interior.
Yeah, exactly. You have a good memory.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm 3 decades involved in all this EU business as a minister, as a former permanent representative to the EU, and now as a bilateral ambassador to the Kingdom of Belgium and Grand Duchy of Luxembourg.
You show the presentation?
Huh?
Do we show the presentation now?
Yes, you showed the presentation, and this was just just a short introduction.
Very good.
That the audience, they could know where we are from as a trio. It's a really colorful trio, Germany, Portugal, and Slovenia, and with fantastic, excellent cooperation and good program. This is our task now, really, to bring what we agreed to and successfully to an end. Maybe we have beginning of July a great luck, because finally we are coming back to normal, to avoiding webinar. And I am glad, again, Home Affairs ministers are today in Slovenia discussing next step in all what is on the top agenda. I mean, migration and asylum package, reinforcement of Schengen code, etc., etc. That's why we are progressing in this respect. At least 8 informal council meetings on ministerial will be already now in Slovenia, and physical. Webinar is okay, but you know, physical meetings, what we diplomats particularly missed in all this year and a half. I do hope that in October nothing's wrong gonna happen, but we never know. Again, is option B to come back to the webinars. But at least now, on a daily basis, we have informal ministerial meetings in Slovenia. Our presidency is under, and this is a next page, motto or auspice or slogan, together, as we were together all the time in this during difficult time. Resilient. Resilience is a key word of our trio and our presidency, and Europe. Together, resilient Europe. And if I tackle shortly a key program and priorities area, I can tell you that we can split or divide in 4 pillars. At the very beginning is resilience, as I mentioned, recovery and strategic autonomy of the European Union. This is the first pillar of our work, tremendous work in the Council, where we already digging very hard, both in Brussels and in Ljubljana, because we have Brussels-based presidency with a strong representation with 250 civil servants who were already involved during our first presidency in first half of 2018. Now we have a first opportunity to chair the council the second half, which is, as I was told, a bit difficult, because 1 month is always missing. Obviously, you have to concentrate within 4 months and a half. You know what is the second half of December as well.
You are not working less.
Yeah, they're not working less, but that we have to face certain time needs. So this is a very first pillar of the program. What is under this resilience? For sure, on the top is pandemic. We are not out of the wood yet. Look at we observe the situation across Europe. Even my country is green, like my tie is a green color. Slovenia is a green country. All these figures are going down, hospitalization. We have only 8 cases in intensive care today. But young generation, those who were not vaccinated, are bringing Delta virus. And I do hope that we will be able to keep progressing on this with these physical meetings also in September. So by pandemic resilience and then cyber resilience, we all know what was on the topical agenda also within Next Generation EU, what our lords and masters agreed last July, between 17, they were sitting 5 days together, and we know what our political priorities are. And beside pandemic is cyber resilience, digitalization, green transition, very much on the top of the agenda. This is why we put on the top. And then to create strategic autonomy of the Union, because we all know what panic was in March last year when pandemic finally came all over, and we were all hit in comparison to other crises, because the end of romantic period was in 2008, and then we were facing financial, banking crisis, Ukraine, Crimea crisis, migration crisis, all kinds of crises. And look at particularly regarding pandemic, we were lost. And there was a panic across Europe. Right. That's why it is very important that we stick our heads together, also institutions, Commission, Member States, and slightly, step by step, we started to resolve current issues. And in more than a year and a half, we did a lot. Then second very important topic, and they started, it's Conference on the Future of Europe. Portugal started, and France will have to finish somewhere in spring. So majority of the panels on the highest political level or on the national level or the regional or urban level will happen during our presidency. Then third very important topic is union of the European way of life, rule of law, and equal criteria for all. And a final fourth pillar of our priority is a credible and secure European Union capable of ensuring security and stability in its neighborhood. And this is what we are talking about Schengen as well. Okay, let's go shortly back to first pillar, resilience, recovery, and strategic autonomy of the EU. I mentioned main focus will be on pandemics still and cyber resilience. Our ambition is together, that Slovenia must be honest broker here with member states, we will try to reinforce the role of European Medical Agency, the role of European Center for Disease Prevention and Controls. These mandates of those two agencies must be strengthened. And then also to prevent cross-border health threats and prepare at the EU level and at the national level necessary preparedness plan to tackle with these issues. We have learned many lessons, but still we didn't finish our job. And we have to create this strategic look forward. Then I mentioned cyber resilience. Very important is NIC2 Cyber Directive, which we do hope that during our presidency, general approach in the Council will be reached. Recently debating with certain ministers from Belgium, Luxembourg, as well as other member states, they are very much focused and pointed it out not only under the so-called digitalization program, but digitalization together with the cyber security approach, because we have to create a certain competence center at the EU level and as well as the national level to coordinate. Otherwise, one day we can live in darkness, our companies couldn't work, other hospitals couldn't operate, etc., etc. So very highly on the agenda. Since I'm also responsible for Belgium, I'm pleased that at least Flanders put 27% of all allocation for precisely out of RRF, Recovery and Resilience Plan, to digitalization, which is very high, and normally 50% to green transition. Strategic, when I'm debating also about the strategic autonomy, our aim and target is to create, to authorize so-called HERA, H-E-R-A, Health Emergency Response Authority. This is very high. And normally to go to European Industrial Strategy. debating with pharmaceutical, with our producers, beginning of 90, we are all aware that 80% of all elements for medicines were produced within EU, but before pandemic, only 20%. And we were lost, we were without medicine, without vaccines, without medical devices, without masks, etc., etc. With basics, we were, in fact, without anything in most member states. And then about the strategic autonomy as well energy supply, and our main focus will be on trans-European energy network regulation. If I go ahead with this resilience and recovery strategic, economic recovery is very much on the agenda. You know that 2 days ago, our ministers of finance already confirmed or approved 12 national RPs. That's why we put additional ECOFIN Council on the agenda for Monday to 26th of July to approve another package of member states RRPs, so recovery and resilience plans that before summer break we can say 2/3 of RRPs are here on the table. Money is there, first 13%, so member states can start and implement what was agreed earlier then. Green transition. Yesterday, Commission presented so long, hardly expected Fit for 55 package. Revision of the emission trade system, effort sharing regulation, renewable energy efficiency, LULUCF. My goodness, I was thinking what this LULUCF is, but this is simply a renovation of greenhouse gas emission. Everything is fall under the target how to, by 55%, to reduce the greenhouse gases by 2030 in comparison with 1990 are of the basic data. Alternative fuels infrastructure, CO2 emissions from cars. This is very highly demanding task and we'll be debating about car producers also within member states and carbon border adjustment mechanism. So green transition very much on our agenda. The package is on the table. We are accelerating now the debate in the all council working parties accordingly. Normally as for the digital transformation, Digital Service Act, Digital Market Act, and artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is not a goal. It's just a mean to reach necessary goals. And Slovenia is playing here a very important role because the International Center for Artificial Intelligence under UNESCO in Slovenia is 40 years of the transition dealing with artificial intelligence. We put very much on the priority this Conference on the Future of Europe, I already mentioned. Most of the debates, I mean plenary sessions, citizens panels, national consultations, multilingual digital platforms, they are all falling under majority of the work under presidency that our French colleague could be able to finish its job in the first half of 2022. Again, key topics are climate change and the environment, health, stronger economy, social justice and jobs, EU in the world, social justice, thanks to the excellent conference and summit during the Portuguese presidency in Porto. We have to accelerate activities in this direction. Values and rights, rule of law, security, digital transformation, European democracy, migration, education, culture, youth, sport, and other ideas. This is all under what will be debate. And 1st of December, there will be a leaders panel at Bled Strategic Forum in Slovenia to be devoted completely to the future of Europe conference. Third pillar, union of the European way of life, rule of law, and equal criteria for all. Greater coherence, this is aimed between various mechanisms to promote the rule of law. Annual dialogue on the rule of law. Commission is preparing second annual report on the state of the rule of law within the EU. It will be debated in a General Affairs Council in October. Will be general dialogue, state of the rule of law in the EU, and country-specific dialogues with 5 EU member states, Croatia, Italy, Cyprus, Lithuania, and Lithuania. And we are also thinking, the idea is behind to push forward for a new European Institute for Constitutional Democracy. Because still there is sometimes misunderstanding between East and West, what the logic is, what is behind what is written in our treaty. This is the idea of the rule of law. And normally at the end, last pillar, credible and secure European Union, capable of ensuring security and stability in its neighborhood. Here are debates and what is in the Council agenda about Schengen area, what Antonio mentioned at the very beginning, and I did as well, a strategy towards a fully functioning and resilient Schengen area. That's why we have to revise Schengen evaluation mechanism, and recently debated with Europol Executive Director, Asylum Agency Director. All this agency must be reinforced. And we hope that we will move, as you did already excellent job for EASO to be transferred as a very effective asylum agency. We will try now during our presidency, and this is precisely the debate today in Ljubljana among ministers for the interior on Eurodac and to reach finally interoperability. Yes. Otherwise, we couldn't tackle secondary migrations, etc., as other issues, because the situation in the wider neighborhood is not fine, particularly in Afghanistan. You know that this day already 3 million Afghans are in Pakistan, aiming to move towards the European Union. So a lot has to be done in the area of return, because so far those who were checked at the entry point to the EU, so far by the recent data, only 30% were returned, illegal migrants. I am not talking about the persons who are in need of international protections. These are more or less, and then at the end, since Slovenia is close to the Western Balkan, there will be Western Balkan Summit, EU Western Balkan Summit, 6th of October. I hope that we will be able also to move a little bit ahead, what you tried tremendously in case of the Northern Macedonia, but due to the situation in one member state, I mean, before election was not possible that our politicians and all stakeholders who are involved in the business will move ahead. Otherwise, we are losing also credibility about what was already decided in 2003 in Thessaloniki. This and to be involved and to involve Western Balkan countries as much as it is possible towards economic and social recovery after COVID-19, to sell also this cybersecurity issues, migration issues, because Western Balkan route is one of the most intensive besides Central Mediterranean. I know that Portugal and Spain will make all what is necessary to debate with Morocco and others to prevent that Western Mediterranean route is not open again. So this is more or less, dear Stefan, if I sum up, I would say at the helm of the Council of the EU, Slovenia continues to lead a coordinated response to the COVID. First, lays the second foundation for a more resilient EU. Third, focuses on enhancing the cyber resilience, as I mentioned. Wishes to speed up discussion on ensuring the EU's autonomy in several strategic areas: medicines, vaccines, medical devices, industrial policy, energy, food supply, etc., etc. Then, fifth, continues with economic and social recovery in the direction of a digital and green Europe. Sixth, takes an active and ambitious part in the pan-European discussion on what the future of the European Union should be like. Seven, improves the understanding of the rule of law as a common European value and underlines the imperative to raise awareness with regard to the European way of life. Highlights the eighth, the importance of strengthening the transatlantic alliance and the alliance with countries that are bound together by common civilization roots. Congratulations for all the summits which were during your presidency. Yeah. Devote special attention to the Western Balkans, this is 9 point, and 10, strives to an efficient functioning of the Schengen system for progress in negotiating the Pact on Migration and Asylum. This is more or less those are our priorities. Thank you. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope I was not too long.
No, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
That was perfect. I mean, it's quite a mouthful. I mean, even if at the end you focused on a smaller number of priorities, it's still quite a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at many different levels. And as we said, the second semester is particularly packed and dense also.
Yeah.
So it's really quite a program.
Our first experience now, because during first presidency we still have 6 months, and you could extend certain things.
Yeah. So let's see how far we get, how far we will be then at the end of the year.
Yeah.
We wish you also best of luck and good cooperation, of course, between the President and the European institutions, the European Commission, to make all that possible. We already have a first question in the chat, and I will read it. It's from Yu Fung Lam, who is CEO of the Institute RNAM. And he asks, now during the pandemic crisis, we realized the magic power of RNA messengers, which is finally the vaccines which we are using very much also in Europe. Now, while US BARDA subsidies up to $30 billion per company in the US, in Europe, he says it's only €2 billion for the Europe Horizon Health Cluster. So the question is there any problem here in Europe to deal with priorities and budgeting?
Look at that. We are debating, not now only in our presidency, but during Portugal or German presidency, about resilience and recovery. These two magic words are on the top. And look at what we did. This package, which was agreed in July last year, is huge. When you add also cohesion money, then you have a big envelope. And who is also beneficiary? Beneficiaries are...
And the SURE program as well.
As well. Yeah. And Horizon, these are, and also private entities, SMEs, small and medium-sized enterprises and companies. Look at, there are billions and billions. And don't forget that beside this RRF, There is also next cohesion package launch 2021, 2027. It's another huge billions and billions of money. There is 750 billions, and you have additional sum, which is even bigger.
And you said rather that this is one of the big priorities of Slovenia's presidency. The health union, I mean, to empower the European Medicines Agency, the ECDC more. I mean, when the pandemic started, we were in a situation where we realized, of course, most of the competences are with the member states. So it was quite an effort to coordinate in spite of it, to do the first orderings of masks, and then also the vaccines.
And the vaccine. And without this common approach, we wouldn't be able to vaccinate today all over, and it works. Now we are focusing also on the young generation.
And I mean, the European Union has finally done quite well under pressure, as always. The Commission got the mandate to coordinate also the acceleration of production of vaccines, which includes also what you said, buying the substances you need to produce them, build new production sites. So I think a lot has been done. But of course, it's true, and I thank the gentleman for the question, that we are only at the beginning there, because we were not prepared for this kind of pandemic, but under pressure, I think, altogether we did quite well. But it shows that now we have to do more, and I think
that's why we are debating about the renewable, about strategic autonomy, about new industrial policy. Deriving from my experiences in 3 decades dealing with the Union is always doing fantastic things when it's dealing only with one thing. I remember what was on the European Council agenda. Topic 1 on the agenda was then excellent. Topic 4 on the agenda was nothing. And whenever we are under terrible pressure, then our lords and masters sticks heads together. If it is necessary, 2 or 3 days and nights. I remember during the financial crisis, I was parent rep. Days and nights we were sitting together. But finally, there was a solution found. And we quickly negotiated fiscal treaty, ESM treaty. I remember already we started in December 2011. In 2012 was already signed. So quickly found a solution. And normally this is launching of the process. Certain things you cannot achieve overnight. Look at particularly in the pharmaceutical industry. I discussed with certain CEOs. It was completely unacceptable that this shift was made in past 25 years. 80% beginning of 90s of elements for pharmaceutical products in Europe were produced in Europe. Before pandemic, only 20%. And we were really fit.
Another thing we should mention, maybe because you talked quite a lot about the recovery and resilience plans also, which are the main part of the Next Generation EU. And that's where most of the money will go to the member states. I think, first of all, it's a revolution. This is what you said, Antonio. This money is borrowed on the markets. So the European Commission, on behalf of the EU, borrows this on the markets, which is a revolutionary thing. So this gives a lot of money. And then if you look at the recovery and resilience plans, quite a lot of the investments and also the reforms will benefit the health sector in the member states.
Precisely. Of course, health sector in mostly in all member states. I went quickly through certain member states, recovery and resilient plans, and more. Percentages are in accordance with domestic situation. Some were higher or lower, but medical sector is very much involved.
We were caught by surprise by this virus. So we react very quickly. Thank God the Commission was there, because you centralized the process. Portugal, as presidency at the time, we followed and we worked together on that. In a way, we are putting some seeds on a future EU common health policy. You mentioned ERA. Perhaps we are now in the position to go together to face some hazards and disasters like COVID-19 to protect ourselves.
Like other pandemics.
The strategic autonomy as Radu has said. I mean, and you did a very fantastic job in trying to buy vaccines now to help supporting the developing of an industry here within the EU. I think we are in the good way, in the good track.
Can you imagine, Stefan, what can small member states do alone if Ireland or Portugal or Slovenia
or
Luxembourg fighting with big multinational or with Chinese producers? And I remember, I can openly say at the beginning of pandemics, I had many telephone calls. Please, Rado, call Luxembourg cargo. They will import to Luxembourg cargo. That all these facilities and medicine devices will be quickly transferred from Luxembourg to Ljubljana. Look, what you can do alone, and they were also by the pressure from other member states. That's why this was excellent idea. As I said, we have learned many lessons, and this is a good starting point for the future, because we never know what pandemic can appear or occur in a certain period of time, and we are not out of the wood yet.
It's not only pandemic, as you mentioned in your program, it's also the social rights.
The social,
it's the economic recovery.
Security and security
security is very important as well. So we wake up for things that now we are. You are together with institutions and the Commission in particular, developing, which I believe are very important for our future.
Yes. For the benefit of our citizens, and we simply have to work with that direction.
I will try to ask one question, which is very difficult. Is that your program is so comprehensive. If you would, if I asked you privately, I mean, we're not privately, but to pick one thing which would be the most important priority to get solved or to make substantial progress during your presidency, what would be your very first? What would one want to have achieved at the end of the year by all means? Look,
there is for us, as I listed in this Fit for 55, we have to accelerate, because look at and this is our task. There will be COP meeting in Glasgow, 31st October, 12th, and we have to coordinate our common position to be put on the table at the global UN level. So very much here, and focus on this security, also Schengen issue. Look at, I was there. We were sitting during last Luxembourg presidency, second half of 2015. I was permanent. Look at, still we didn't finish the job started 6 years ago. 6 years ago. And then we would like to protect our citizens, to provide security. So we have moved ahead. That's why our ministry has this ambition to exempt certain things from the package, as you did for this asylum. Was it great? Reinforcing all these three agencies, Europol, also Frontex, because we have external border regulation already, but we have simply to reinforce and to connect all this with national institutions. This is very high on the priority. And on this NIS2 directive on cybersecurity, Digitalization Act, and simply to reach a general approach in the Council by the end of the year. That's why they are accelerating. I have a very strong team in the representation, 20 civil servants which are dealing only on this issue.
Which is also very important for Luxembourg, and Luxembourg is also very interesting.
Yeah, I know.
You have a lot of similarities, digital, cybersecurity, between Luxembourg and Slovenia and your presidency.
Artificial intelligence.
Artificial intelligence.
Supercomputing.
Supercomputer. We have a big Vega supercomputer.
We have Meluxina here in Luxembourg.
And simply we need
Those were the two first.
to unite this. But anyway, Stefan, we have joint research centers. We have joint research centers around the EU. We simply have to connect this.
And you mentioned climate change. I mean, the floodings we have had these days. I happen to heard I don't know, was it the fire brigade or an ambulance in the background? They're all...
I never saw in past 3 decades coming in Luxembourg. I was pioneer of Slovenian-Luxembourg relations back 30 years ago, and I spent years and months here, but I never saw such a continuous flooding as yesterday, and raining and raining and raining.
It's really bad.
It would appear that Luxembourg became a tropical country.
My goodness.
So that is obvious that we all have to do something against climate change. That is interested everybody. One thing is particularly painful for Luxembourg. We always heard this. We already also discussed this a couple of weeks ago with the foreign minister. Schengen. I mean, Luxembourg depends so much on open borders. What do you think because we're trying to get back to a functioning Schengen system. Do you think there is a perspective for these 6 months?
There is a perspective. This is precisely what ministers are debating today in Slovenia. Precisely this is a main topic. What is the next step ahead? Because, look at neighboring Western Balkan. The problem of Western Balkan migration route was migrants were coming first to the frontline member state, in this particular case, Greece. From Greece to the non-member countries, and then to the Hungarian and Slovenian border. What is simply not acceptable. That's why we would like to engage also Frontex in this particular matter. And there is a big threat still behind. Look at mostly these illegal migrants, when I'm debating with our Minister for the Interior, are mostly from Pakistan and Afghanistan. And look at, if Talibs control already 80% of the Afghanistan control, you know what is the destiny of those who are captured. It's better than escaping. And they're at our front steps. And we have to resolve. That's why on the agenda is very much on the top revision of Schengen Code also.
Okay.
We are not, I know we would like to see from our perspective, as Slovenia, we would like to see Croatia to be a member as soon as possible, but I don't think so that this is Schengen enlargement is the main topic among ministers for the interior in Ljubljana. It's precisely a revision of certain regulation and certain, and particular Schengen code.
Thank you very much. Again, good luck for this presidency. Thank you for outlining the priorities, the program, very ambitious program. And I think we will work together to make Europe progress.
I'm coming again for wrap up before French president.
Very good.
He was very happy, Antonio, today. Look at now, we have to fight it and to achieve and to show to put on the table finally certain results,
Yeah.
because only results count.
Count, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
thank you.
And thank you very much also our participants, and see you next time. And hopefully we will have a nice summer as from Saturday.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
No.